Hello, hello, my childrens. Old man back shouting at clouds today. So, topic of today's conversation is kind of like how to make friends and influence people. So, there's a book about this. It's a great book. Highly recommend it. Very old, but still largely applicable. This is a key topic that everybody cares about, and for good reason, right? So, if we take it way, way back, human history, it's kind of a key survival trait, right? So, human beings are naturally social and for very good reason, right? So, are human beings the strongest, fastest, most capable animals? No, right? Like, we're in both respects, I think we're pretty low on strength and speed, right? So, think about the animal kingdom. How many animals are we actually faster than? Not rabbits, not dogs, not cats, not bears, not moose, not elk, not deer, and on and on and on and on, right? We're pretty slow. Faster than sloths. We got that going for us. Faster than snails. But overwhelmingly, we're not winning because we're fast. Same applies to strength, right? Think of the animals in the animal kingdom we're stronger than. I know we're stronger than squirrels, but they're faster. Stronger than mice, also faster, at least over short distances. Now, we do have pretty good endurance, and there's some argument to be made that that was pretty important in our ability to survive as a species. But again, we weren't winning because of strength or speed because there were enough other animals that had both of those on us, right? Like bear, stronger, faster. Tiger, stronger, faster. Gorilla, stronger, probably faster over very, very short distances. So we needed to be good at other things. Now, we are smart, quite smart as species go. But that only really matters if you survive long enough for your intelligence to come into the equation, right? Which human infants, about as helpless as it gets in the natural world. So we needed one other superpower, and that superpower is teamwork. Okay? What's a really, really important element in being able to work as a team? Well, you have to be able to get along. And so that brings us to the topic of today's conversation. So, how to win friends and influence people, or make friends and influence people. Um, if you weren't able to do that as a human and nobody liked you in your tribe in the way back, you became an outcast. And that was not a long term good survival strategy, right? You were incredibly vulnerable. So we're kind of naturally programmed to not want to be outcasts. And I think that's a largely positive thing, right? It forces you to be more agreeable, it forces you to be kinder. These are good traits, okay? But we can take them a bit to the extreme, right? And that's why I'm creating this video today, because this is a natural behavior I see in a lot of kids. And it's something that it does take time to learn. You have to feel your way through it. Listening to this video is not going to change things night and day tomorrow. But what I hope it will do is give you something to think on. And over time, what I hope it will do is shorten the learning curve, right? So instead of taking it years to figure this stuff out, I hope it just takes a little while to figure it out. I hope instead of it taking you until your mid 20s to figure it out, maybe you figure it out by the time you're 16. That'd be awesome. That would be fantastic outcome. And you know what? If you don't, you will figure it out eventually. So, one thing I see a ton is kids try way too hard to impress each other. Way too hard. And it actually ends up having the exact opposite effect. So, instead of making people like you and respect you, it actually makes them view you as weak when you try too hard. Okay? So, what I'd rather you focused on, and I think what you'd get better results if you focused on, is instead focus on the things that you naturally do that are positive, right? Are you a good person? Do you tell people the truth? Do you work hard? Are you ambitious? Are you kind to others? Focus on those things. You'll notice that there are things about you that people like. Okay? Sam, you have a great sense of humor. You're funny. You are kind. You help people out. You're smart. You're athletic. Okay? People like those things, and for valid reasons. Double down on that, but do not double down on being the class clown. Okay? Because that's something that's often viewed as trying too hard. It's okay to be funny, but pick your moments. And you don't have to be funny all the time, because then it just looks like you're trying too hard. And again, those are things that will diminish people's view of you. They will make you look weak. It'll make you look like you're trying too hard. Jackson, you are also funny. You're a very goofy kid. You're smart too. And one thing that I respect a ton is that you definitely march to the beat of your own drummer. And I think you might have like you might almost intuitively kind of have this down where you don't try too hard. Sometimes maybe you could try a little harder, but you aren't out there trying to impress people or show off all the time. That's a good thing, okay? And again, double down on the traits you have that are good. Work on continue to feed your brain. Maddie, same things. Like, you're funny, you're kind, you're sweet, you're intelligent. Like, those are the things to double down on, okay? Get better at those things. If you're smart today, be smarter tomorrow. If you're athletic today, be more athletic tomorrow. These are admirable traits that people will just naturally gravitate towards. You don't have to try to get people to gravitate to them. If you just focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and that's the key thing, the best version of yourself. Jackson, you don't need to try to be like Sam. Sam, you don't need to try to be like Jackson. Maddie, you don't need to try to be like your brothers. Be yourself. You have lots of great qualities. And if you double down on those things, the people who respect those qualities are going to naturally gravitate towards you. You're not going to have to work super hard to get people to notice it, okay? You all have plenty of admirable traits. Just focus on improving them and honing them, and you will get friends. And as time goes on and you grow up and you start getting jobs, again, focus on the positive traits you already had that got you that job and get better at those things. And you're not going to have to work super hard to get your manager to respect you. You're not going to have to work super hard to get your coworkers to respect you. If you're out there providing something of value, people are going to latch onto that. And you're not going to have to try too hard. And again, trying too hard is counterproductive. It does the opposite thing of what you're trying to do. So doing that, I know it's intuitive. I did it too when I was your age, and it drove my dad nuts. I would do this, Jackson, this will relate to you. I did this at Scouts all the time. I was always trying to be the class clown. I was always goofing off and trying to get everybody's attention on me. And it drove the older Scouts crazy, and the adult leaders too. And instead of making people look up to me, it kind of made people take me less seriously. So when I did have something of value to add, nobody listened to it. I also noticed this early on in my career. When I got my first kind of professional job after school, I was just so used to being the class clown that I started leading with that professionally. And I noticed for sure people took me less seriously because of it. So if there were opportunities for a promotion, guess who wasn't getting it? At least after a certain point. So like in the early days, I started at a very, very entry-level position. So I was good enough at my job to overcome the fact that I was being kind of silly. So I was still getting noticed anyway because I was doing my job at a high enough level that I was still rising within the ranks. but nowhere near as quickly as I could have if I had just focused on what it was that made me a good employee and stuck to that. And, it's okay to still be funny sometimes, but you don't always have to be going for the laugh. And that's what I was definitely doing that. So that was a mistake. Now, I've changed that over the course of the years, and I've noticed, surprise, surprise, I'm being taken more seriously. So that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. And this applies to everything in life, okay? It applies to friendships, it applies to school, it applies to work. It'll apply to dating when you're interested in that, okay? One of the worst things you can do when you're trying to find someone to date, and when you find somebody that you are interested in and you're trying to get them to be interested in you, one of the worst things you can do is try too hard, okay? It's an instant turnoff. They can tell you're trying too hard, and it makes you seem weak, and nobody wants a partner who is weak. They want somebody who's going to help them get to the next level, right? And in the back of every person's mind as they're trying to find a potential partner is somebody who's going to help lift them up. Help them when times are tough. You don't want a weak person when times are tough. You want a strong person when times are tough, somebody who's confident and capable. You're not going to look like any of those things if you're trying way too hard. So the best approach, and it's hard, I'm not going to kid you, it is hard because you really want that person's approval. It really matters a lot to you. You like them. There's chemistry, at least for you. But I promise you'll only diminish that by trying too hard. The best thing you can do is, again, be the best version of you. Now, that might require some work. You may find that the person you're interested in is not interested in you immediately. Well, if you try too hard, they're going to be even less interested in you. But what you could do that might change the game a little bit is double down on your strengths. Work hard at becoming the best version of yourself, and that may catch their attention. And you know what? It might not. There were plenty of people growing up that I was interested in who weren't interested in me. And guess what? I'm not crying the blues to this day. Things worked out pretty well for me. But you know why they worked out? You know what I did that your mom noticed and it resonated with her? I didn't try too hard. Okay, I focused on being who I was, and I focused on being the best version of me that I could be, because I saw your mom and I was interested, but I also knew I wasn't quite there yet. I was like, I've got some things I need to work on. I didn't have a ton of ambition yet. I didn't have much direction in life. I didn't know where I was going or how to get there. And immediately, I knew those were things I needed to figure out, because if I was going to find a partner in life, who's going to want to link up with somebody who has no clue where they're going or how to get there? Now some people might, maybe maybe they look at you as a penny stock. They see some value there, but it's buried deep, and they're like, well, if I buy low, sell high, this could be a great investment, get them at the bottom. Okay, sure. Yeah, that can work. But you're always going to get the best possible outcomes over the long term. It may take time. You're going to have to be patient. But if you just double down on being the best version of yourself, I know I've said that about 500 times here, and I'm hoping it sinks in, because it's hard work, but it does gain momentum. The more you do it, the more of just like a reflex it becomes. So I've been doing this now for so long that if I took an entire day and I didn't do anything productive, I would feel like I wasted that day, and it would bother me. Okay? That is not true of Greg 25 years ago. All right? 25 years ago, I would have been totally fine doing nothing for an entire day, making no difference, gaining no ground. I'd have been okay with that. Me today, not even close, right? I'd feel like I wasted time. So it does build momentum. It becomes more natural over time, but it takes time. And the thing I'm going to leave you with is it is worth it, okay? It is worth it. If you take that time and you use it effectively to get better at the things that really matter, it will pay off in your relationships. It'll pay off professionally. And you'll just feel better about yourself, okay? Because that's the other thing. When you work too hard or you try too hard and you're not yourself, you're not going to be proud of that at the end of the day. Even if you have friendships that you get or jobs that you get by faking it, you're not going to be proud of those things, and they're not going to stand the test of time. It has to be true to who you are as a person. So, anyway, enough rambling. I hope that I've made my point and that it helps. I love you very much. Talk to you next time.